Thousands of immigration hearings are on hold because of the government shutdown. That's according to a new survey of more than 15,000 legal professionals who work on immigration cases around the country. 90% say they've had hearings canceled. Some of those hearings would have ended in a final decision on an immigrant's status, meaning decisions to grant asylum or to deport an immigrant are on hold. New reporting on CBSNews.com looks at the growing backlog. It is not just hearings that are paused. One lawyer told us administrators at a North Carolina immigration court stopped processing documents, instead putting them in cardboard boxes for clerks to open whenever government funding resumes. Let's bring in now Ruby Powers, an immigration lawyer in Houston. Hearings for 4 of her cases have been postponed since the shutdown began. Ruby, thank you so much for joining us. Can you begin by giving us some background first? How do these immigration hearings traditionally work?
Well, traditionally, there'll be 2 hearings. There'll be a master calendar hearing and a merits hearing. The master calendar hearing, the first one, is more about housekeeping and going over a charging document and deciding when what forms of relief the applicant will apply for and the deadline for submitting applications in the final hearing. The final hearing, the merits hearing, is generally scheduled potentially many months or years away from the master calendar and can be scheduled for about 1 to 4 hours. And it takes a lot of coordination with witnesses, attorney preparation, translators, and documentation.
And so then what are the courts now telling you about the hearings you had scheduled with your clients?
Well, the non-detained court is not working. So in some cases, some court administrators have been spreading the news to our liaisons with the American Immigration Lawyers Association that they're closed. Some courts are not even having anyone in the office to tell us that. We're pretty much just having to check the news every day to see whether or not to go to court the next day and inform our clients whether they should be traveling from some cases long distances to get to court.
So no one is reaching out to you and telling you this. You're just sort of having to intuit yourself. And then if your case is canceled or your hearing is canceled, it's not automatically rescheduled.
Oh, no, we're not. No one's telling us that they're canceled. We just have to watch the news. And also, we won't have any notice about rescheduling until they reopen and start having a chance to assess the situation.
It certainly sounds untenable. And, in addition to that, one thing that may surprise our viewers is that the cancellation of these hearings could mean fewer deportation orders during the shutdown, which is, of course, the whole reason for the shutdown is to, strengthen border security. So can you explain why that part of it is happening?
Well, I mean, if you're not having judges go to court and you're not conducting the hearings, then people can't get deported in the non-detained court. You can't have people get approved. You can't move forward with the proceedings. So, I mean, yes, the irony of the backlog increasing because of the discussion about a wall based on immigration, it doesn't escape us immigration attorneys. But yes,
I'm sure it doesn't. So, Ruby, records kept by Syracuse University find that the immigration system had an 800,000 case backlog even before the shutdown started. Does that number surprise you? And does that just sound untenable now that there's this shutdown?
The first 2 weeks of the shutdown were a lot of holidays. This is the first week where it's a lot more painful. There are a lot more hearings scheduled and will continue to be so if the shutdown continues further into next week and the coming weeks. But no, we know that 800,000 is the backlog right now. And it's, with the having quotas for judges to make sure that they can plow through more cases and more cases being piled on. These last few weeks of not having court are just going to make the list longer and get us into potentially 2022 or 2023 for scheduling.
And so, Ruby, what is your strategy then? I don't know how many clients you are working with at this moment, but how are you navigating all of this with your clients?
Well, we're going day by day, and as one court administrator officer told us was, just watch the news. And so that's what we're doing. We go day by day, and even if it means late at night, we're telling our client, you definitely don't have to come into court. We're just letting them know that until the government reopens, their court cases, non-detained court will be closed, and then we'll have to deal with it at the time. Strong and pressing cases that have tight deadlines, we're going to ask for earlier hearings. Others, they'll just be put at the back of the list potentially, or wait for their next hearing.
My goodness, Ruby Powers, more power to you. You have a lot of work ahead. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.